Before I get into today's video, I want to take a moment to thank y'all so much for checking out the content and just seeing my perspective on some of the topics that I have discussed. One of my past videos ended up reaching half of 1,000 views, which is honestly crazy considering how I just started doing YouTube and I wasn't expecting that many people to go and check out the video. See that the video has been checked out that many times is really amazing. And I just want to take a moment to thank y'all so much for checking it out and just showing some support on it. Even if you disagree with my takes and all that, I do appreciate that y'all have been open to perspective to just listen to where I'm coming from. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Back here over on some Marvel Spider-Man. So we are finally in the month of October, which means we are less than 3 weeks away from the release of Marvel Spider-Man 2. The fact that we have finally made it to the month of this game's release has us all the more excited to be able to experience the game and finally see what Insomniac has been cooking all along. We want to go over all the information that we have gotten ever since the reveal of the game all the way up until now. The duration of Marvel Spider-Man 2 is said to be the same length as the first game, 17 hours for the main story and 25 hours for the main story plus side quests. And I'm assuming that it's going to take even longer for those who are completionists. I did hear some people say that, they kind of wish that the game could have been a little longer and all that in comparison to the first game. But realistically speaking, there's only so much that you can put into the story of the game until you realize that some of the things that they have added were basically filler. You would end up realizing after your first playthrough that some of the stuff that was added was nothing but filler and it didn't need to be in the game. So to see that the game is going to be roughly the same length as the first game, it's pretty cool. Now for me personally, I am going to be a completionist for Marvel Spider-Man 2. I ended up doing so with the first game, in which I was able to get 100% achievements for the main story within like a few days after the game's launch, and I was able to do the same again with Miles Morales. So I am looking forward to being able to go for 100% achievements on the sequel. I'm assuming that it'll be an easy challenge despite it being a time-consuming task, but I am looking forward to it. Wall crawling speed has been increased. This is the normal speed for how Spider-Man crawls, and I guess that's going to be sped up in the second game, which is going to be interesting. Boss battles will now have a health bar, which I think is really cool because one of the things that I did not like about taking on the villains in the past 2 games was that they didn't have a health bar, so it kind of made things a bit difficult for you to figure out how much damage you were dishing out to the villain and if whether or not you were close to defeating him. So the fact that there will be a health bar for the villains in the next game will make things a bit more easier for us to figure out how much damage we're dishing out on villains like Venom, Lizard, Kraven, you name it. Marvel Spider-Man 2 will feature over 65 different suits, including the black suit from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Now that is a suit I am most definitely looking forward to wearing because it's honestly, this was a suit that a lot of people have requested to be introduced into this version of the game, but sadly they couldn't because Insomniac had released all the updates that they could, and if they had released beyond what they could, it was going to cause stability issues for Marvel Spider-Man. So it's nice to see that they have considered the feedback of the community enough to add the suit into the game. I also am curious as to whether or not the suits that were introduced into this game along with Miles Morales will be transferred over to Marvel Spider-Man 2 for us, the player, to utilize, while simultaneously utilizing the newer features that Insomniac have implemented when it comes to the customization of suits. Currently, Insomniac is teasing the appearance of a villain named Null, who is basically a symbiote god. I have no knowledge of the villain himself, but if he is indeed planning on making an appearance in Marvel Spider-Man, it's going to be really exciting to see. I would assume it's going to be really exciting to see, considering how we haven't had a villain like Null appear in any other Spider-Man game in ever. So I am looking forward to that. Marvel Spider-Man 2 does have fall damage, but you do have the option to toggle it on or off. I think for those who are interested in experiencing the game with realism, fall damage would be useful for them to enable as an option. But for those who just want to be able to experience the true human strength of Spider-Man, they're probably going to want to turn it off. For me personally, I'll mess around with the option of taking fall damage, but at the same time, I still want to be able to experience the true human nature of the superhero to where I don't want to have to experience fall damage. Now, the map in Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to double in size thanks to the inclusion of the islands Queens and Brooklyn. In the sequel, Insomniac have opened up these islands for us to be able to explore, which is going to make traversing and free roaming a whole lot more fun because we're going to have a lot more land to experience, and it opens up more opportunities for us to show the city off in photo mode. Players can ride the park attractions that are over on Coney Island, which is a nice little detail that I'm glad Insomniac is implementing. One of my recent videos, I did talk about the possibility of what other secret features could be implemented into the game that we don't know about, and I had mentioned that they might implement a mini game where we could play basketball on the basketball courts around the city, which is something that a lot of players tried to do within the first game, but it was very difficult for them to pull off. So if it rings true and there is some form of a basketball mini game that we're going to get to be able to play in Marvel Spider-Man 2, that's going to be really sick. Three main villains that we know that are going to play an integral part in the story are Kraven, the Lizard, and Venom. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, including myself, can relate to this when I say that while we are all looking forward to experiencing Insomniac's versions of Kraven and the Lizard, we are most definitely looking forward to the appearance of Venom. I had mentioned before that Venom has not made an appearance in a Spider-Man game since Spider-Man Web of Shadows, so it's nice to see that Insomniac has decided to bring the anti-hero back and show off their version of the character for us to experience and go up against. There are going to be some other villains who are going to make an appearance in the game. You know that Martin Lee is going to make his return in the sequel, but it has yet to be determined if whether or not he still has the superpowers that he expressed as Mr. Negative. A villain named Wraith is supposedly making an appearance in the game, especially when you look at her final moments during the Turf Wars DLC pack for the Marvel Spider-Man. We'll know that Yuri started to inherit character traits that make her come off like a villain, so there's a good possibility that she could be the one who ends up being Wraith in the sequel. We also know that Mysterio is going to be making an appearance in the game and that there will be activities related to the character that we will get the chance to play and accomplish. I've said it before, since he is going to make an appearance in the game, I genuinely hope he doesn't come off like a villain who we're going to forget about for the rest of the game. I really want to see just how much of a role he will play as the story progresses. For those who do like a layer of realism in an open world game, we do know that if you're playing as one of the Spider-Men, you will come across the other Spider-Man taking care of crime or taking care of any sort of task that he is doing while you're roaming around the city, which is going to be really exciting to see. It's almost akin to the character presentation in Grand Theft Auto 5, where if you were playing as either Michael, Trevor, or Franklin, if you were roaming around the city, there was a possibility that you would come across one of those characters while roaming around Los Santos. So it's nice to see that layer of realism be implemented into Marvel Spider-Man 2. The abilities that you get with the symbiote suit you can use on any other suit that you intend to wear in the game. I can almost see two sides of the argument. One would argue that, the symbiote abilities should be exclusive to the symbiote suit, gives that suit an extra form of rarity that you don't really get with the other suits in the game. But at the same time, it's nice to see that Insomniac is still allowing players the choice to decide what kind of suit mods they want to use for any other suit that they intend to wear in the game. Another thing too is that if you're in a fight, your suit will take damage, so depending on how much damage you take, you will start to see your suit rip away. You will start to see wear and tear within your suit, which is a very nice bit of detail. You're in the middle of a mission. Depending on how much damage you take, your suit will start to experience wear and tear, but after the mission is over, it'll start to go away. About it's the little things that the developers implement that makes the game shine so much more. And I'm glad to see that Insomniac is sticking with it and adding more of that into the sequel. Some renowned gaming personalities have already gotten review copies of Marvel Spider-Man 2, but they still can't give their review on the game just yet, seeing as how they have to abide to an embargo that will be lifted on October 16th. Insomniac has made clear to steer away from any spoilers that could end up getting leaked onto the internet, which I can understand, but at the same time, the chances of there being spoilers would have decreased significantly had Insomniac not sent out review copies. That's just my personal take, but hey, they did what they did. It is what it is. But we are less than 3 weeks away from the release of Marvel Spider-Man 2. We are finally in the month of October, which means we are getting closer and closer to the game's launch. I could speak for everybody when I say that I am definitely excited to be able to experience the sequel to Insomniac's hit superhero series, and just being able to experience a whole new story with the same cast of characters. Definitely looking forward to experiencing how the story is being told while my heartstrings get played with. But that is pretty much all the information on what we know of Marvel Spider-Man 2 so far. Who knows? In the coming weeks could find out more about the game, but until then, this is pretty much all we know. Let me know what you guys make of all of this information, and what are you most excited for in regards to Marvel Spider-Man 2. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to know what you guys have to say. I do want to say this before I close this video out. I am planning on doing a walkthrough on both the PS5 versions of Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I won't be able to get to it as soon as possible because I have some things coming up in my life that I have to tend to. But once I have that stuff settled, then I will get around to making content for you guys to witness. I will be doing so as we get closer to the launch of Marvel Spider-Man 2. And if you guys are curious as well, I will definitely be doing a playthrough on Marvel Spider-Man 2 when the game launches. But for the time being, I am planning on doing a playthrough on the PS5 versions of Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I hope you guys are excited to experience the game with me and just see how the story unfolds as we get closer to the launch of the sequel. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, you're more than welcome to hit that like button, and if you enjoy this type of content, you're more than welcome to hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification so you can be notified of when I have uploaded my newest video. But until then, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Discreet, and I'll catch you in the next video.